This is the new reMarkable Paper Pro, which I have to say, after unboxing, the first thing I noticed is that this is right up there with the best of what Apple has to offer in terms of build quality and just a real premium feel to the device. I'll throw the dimensions up on screen, but this looks and feels premium through and through. I only noticed the slightest gap at the top of the screen, which may explain the lack of any sort of IP rating for dust or weather protection here, so you might want to be careful at that front as your warranty won't cover anything along those lines. Now in the box, you get a set of nibs in this nice little case. You also get the charging cable, which is USB-C, so you can use your MacBook Pro charger, for example, if you wish to charge this device as well. The stylus we chose here comes with an eraser built in and has a better textured grip than the one that comes free with the device. However, it is an additional £40. The one that comes with the device is also white, whereas this one is black. The device itself comes in a 64GB configuration, and that's the only option you have. Now, in terms of the case, you have two options, and if you get a case at the same time as you get the reMarkable device, you get a little bit of a discount. The standard folio case is £79. The one we have here is an additional £219 because it comes with the built-in keyboard. You can see with the upgraded pen option of £40, the keyboard folio option of £219, the price now with the discount is £779. Buying these separate would come to just over £800. Now, just something really quick to point out, our unit actually came with a stuck pixel, as you can see here. Probably a very good chance that yours won't have this. Luckily, reMarkable do have very good customer service. Now, the first thing you notice when you turn this thing on and actually start using it is how do I put this? As the company say it themselves, it's a very distraction-free device. There's no app store to be found here, there's no web browser, there's no apps whatsoever other than just basically you can't really do much other than basically just take notes. Now, saying that, there are more than 40 templates here to choose from, and they range from lined paper to dotted paper to music sheets, guitar chords, and so forth. You can write with 9 different utensils, and we'll take a look at these a little bit later on. There's 3 different widths and multiple colors to choose from. I believe it's 9 different colors to choose from. And again, we'll look at this in a little bit. Now, once you get the pen out and start using this, you'll know right away if it's for you. Because what you're paying for is the writing experience, is that feel that that pen has on that screen, which is, quite frankly, it's second to none. The screen has brilliant lighting as well throughout. Although there is no warmth setting, which you get even on the cheapest of Kindles, I didn't really miss it much, but the option isn't there. The resolution of the screen is 2160 by 1620 pixels, which gives you a pixel density of 229. So the pixel density is pretty much how sharp the text comes across on the screen and how sharp your eye perceives it. To compare this, the Kindle Scribe has a higher pixel density actually. It's 300, and that costs £329. The standard iPad Air that Apple sell for around the £350 mark has a pixel per inch density of 264. The keyboard folio we ordered is absolutely fantastic. Key travel for such a thin case is satisfying, and while I usually don't like keyboard cases because I find them tacky to use, they just don't feel right, this keyboard was actually very good and very enjoyable to use. Although I must say I rarely ever used it with this device because whenever I had this thing, I mean, the whole point of it is that you get that pen and paper feeling. Now, the biggest thing that sets this apart from the last iteration of the reMarkable device is the color screen, which, while it looks good, I have to say, it comes down to personal preference. I'll put it up right now so you can see with a graphic novel what it looks like on this screen compared to something like a MacBook Pro M1 screen, which is pretty much identical to my iPad Pro screen, because it's so much more vibrant on a backlit LED screen, obviously. The best way for me to put it is imagine a color picture that you get printed in a newspaper. That's pretty much what colored pictures and graphic novels and so forth look like on the reMarkable screen, which ultimately comes down to just what you prefer. Now, taking notes, Obviously, the big advantage of this iteration is that you can use colors to highlight, you can use colors to write text in different colors if you wish, um, even draw a little doodle. Now, the one thing that baffled me off the bat, and it made me actually go and check if I've got the latest software, because I thought, "Oh, is this thing in a beta software? I need to double check." Is it has this moment's delay when you write. And for such a polished device, a device solely centered around taking notes, this kind of felt bizarre to me. It genuinely felt like I had beta software, because no matter which color I chose, the tip of the stylus initially drew this bluish tint, and then the color would change to the color that you've chosen after it flashes briefly. It just flickers on the screen, and then the e-ink will show up as the color that you wanted. And quite frankly, I found it distracting, because you draw something or you'd highlight something, and then you take the pen away, and it takes a second before you can see the result of what you've done to decide if you're going to carry on with the same color or if you want to use a different color. It was just distracting. It's bizarre. I really, really hope that this is something they can address with software update down the road. But unfortunately, this isn't only laggy part of the user experience. The interface can become laggy, especially as this device gets filled up. It can become laggy at times. Doing things like you can type too fast with the on-screen keyboard, which can get a little bit laggy. And the slow 1.8 gigahertz quad-core A53 processor with 2 gigabytes of RAM feels underpowered, and it's quite noticeable when you compare it to something like the Note Air 3C, which I've used, and that has a 2.8 gigahertz octa-core processor, whereas that also has 4 gigabytes of RAM, so it has double the RAM. But while we're also there, the Note Air 3 also has 64 gigabytes of storage, but you can add more via micro SD card. That point I'm not too bothered about, because I mean, how many PDFs and how much writing do you have to do to fill up 64 gigabytes of storage? It's just a little bit disappointing seeing a device that's cheaper, using a more powerful processor and having double the RAM, and also having the option for expanding storage, which this device doesn't have. However, saying that, if you want to take notes, the feeling of writing with this, I know I've already said it's genuinely second to none. Just have a look at how fast it registers the pen strokes, and there is pressure sensitivity, and you can see when you use something like a paintbrush, it is sensitive to pressure, and the feedback is really good. By the time you lift the pen up, everything that you've written or drawn is on screen. It's really fantastic, and the texture and the feel of running the pen across this screen, I mean, it beats something like writing on a Apple iPad. Now, when you take notes, you can have the reMarkable convert your writing to text before you send it in an email or just save it for yourself. I've had very mixed results with this. Just take a look at some of these examples on screen. Once you've taken your notes, it's pretty easy to convert them and then send them as an email, although you will want to read through them, just because of the fact that, it's not the most accurate in terms of handwriting recognition. Moving images and stuff around the screen is fairly intuitive and easy to do. However, resizing and stuff, again, the processor can make it seem a little bit slow to catch up to what it is you're trying to get it to do. However, once you've taken your notes, you can jump on the laptop program, and it appears on there pretty much instantaneously. I must say though, I found the Mac app, especially on my M1 MacBook Pro, to be very buggy and constantly crash, especially in presentation mode, or it would lag, or it would freeze. Again, no reason why they can't fix this with software update. I wasn't a fan. I just found myself just getting to the point of frustration. So yeah, not a feature that I would be using that much. Organizing your notes that you've taken into folders is very easy. You can actually add tags to your notes as well, making them much easier to find. Now, going back to that colored screen. Now, one of the things I touched on earlier is colored screen, graphic novels, comic books, even ebooks. Unfortunately, this is not designed for book consumption at all. You can't use any of the files that you get from places like Amazon, Apple, Barnes & Noble. It doesn't matter. If they've got DRM, which pretty much everything has, which stands for Digital Rights Management, when you download the book, there's no way to open it. So you can't use this on there, which kind of makes you wonder. I mean, Amazon have their own Kindle Scribe, which allows you to take notes and whatnot, but it also gives you the option to read Amazon books. So that does double up for that purpose better than this device does. And that's also, I believe, £329. So it's hundreds of pounds cheaper than this. Might be worth consideration there. I still went ahead and I got a graphic novel that I purchased and converted it myself to see how it looks. And you can see here, the text, unfortunately, whilst it looks perfectly fine on, my Kindle, whilst it looks perfectly fine on the Kindle app that I use on my Mac and on my iPad, when I put it up on here, the text is just completely washed out and also very small. So in order to read it, I got to keep trying to zoom in, and because the processor is slow, zooming in and out is just such a faff. It takes a while to upload and it just makes it not a usable experience for me. It's just too slow, it's too cumbersome. And yeah, if you want to get this to also double up as an ebook reader, you're going to want to look elsewhere. There is a subscription for this if you want to get the most out of your reMarkable. So with the subscription service, it's called Connect, and you get unlimited cloud storage, you get automatic sync, and you get an extended 3-year warranty. Just keep in mind that does not include accidental damage. That just allows them to swap the device out if there's an issue with it over a 3-year period. Without the subscription, reMarkable states that only files used and synced in the last 50 days will continue to be stored in the cloud. And you won't have access to note-taking in the reMarkable mobile and desktop apps, or the reMarkable protection plan, obviously, which is a little bit of a shame because the mobile and the desktop app can be pretty useful when they're running, and to put those behind the paywall for a device that already is pretty expensive, it's an additional £36 a year. And when you also factor in that replacing the nibs on one of the pens, it's £34 currently for 25 nibs, which can last you anywhere from 3 to 7 weeks according to the reMarkable website. However, I've seen people on forums say that they've gotten through nibs in as little as a week. That would mean that you're looking at a potential cost of up to £76 a year if you're using this heavily on a daily basis, say for university or for your work. So you've got to factor in £76 a year for nibs, £36 a year for the subscription service to get the most out of it. So that's like an additional £100 every year. But again, that's based on heavy use. Your usage will definitely vary depending on how often you use the pen. Now, due to this not having many other features, there's really not much else to say about this. The writing experience is absolutely fantastic. The software is, you can either see it as extremely basic or you can see it as extremely focused for the right kind of person. I found doing the basics simple and intuitive. I do wish it was compatible with more formats. Do wish that you could use it as an ebook reader or for daily newspaper. Look at the size of the gorgeous screen. It's such a shame that they don't give you that option, whereas devices at much cheaper price points do. However, that feeling of the pen on the screen really is second to none. So whether you should get this or not, for me, it comes down to the price. For the heavy user, as I said, you could be paying an extra £100 a year for the nibs and subscription service. And this is only £40 less than an iPad Air. And it's £230 more than the latest iPad from Apple, which it can, let's face it, an iPad can do so much more. You can listen to music, watch films, browse the internet, go on Netflix, YouTube, say films for a flight. You can do so much more with it. Now, the feeling of writing is so much better on this than it is with an iPad. So then you have to think to yourself are you happy to either carry both an iPad and this, or a laptop and this, if you're going traveling for work purposes? Or are you happy to have this just on its own? Do you legitimately just need something to take notes with? And if you're happy to shell out, with everything kitted out, over £700 for it, you'll get the best experience, no doubt. But the price is pretty hefty. Not to mention that taking notes with an iPad, okay, whilst it doesn't have the same feeling, there are stuff you can do with an iPad in terms of taking notes that you can't do with the reMarkable, such as when you draw up an equation, it can fix it for you and make it much more presentable for you and actually give you results and do things that, like you can see on screen now, like this is not stuff you can do on the reMarkable. For me, if you're taking notes on this device and nothing else, and you don't mind the price and the running cost, then it beats everything else hands down. If it had a faster processor, I'd be even more inclined to recommend it if you wanted to take notes. But the fact that at this price point, they didn't put in a more powerful processor, so it's absolutely flawless at what it does, I don't understand that, and I can't get my head around that. However, as I said, there is a 100-day money-back guarantee. If you're on the fence, give it a try. Let me know what you guys think. If you did find this in any way helpful, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.